Welcome to Ballet Bites. Today we're diving into the intricacies of a dancer's day, from technique and rehearsal routines to Pointe-Shoe care and strategic recovery.
Yeah.
Let's jump in.
I'm excited. There's so much in this world of dance. The way every moment of the day is carefully planned is wild, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. A dancer's day starts with morning technique to, switch on the machine, then moves into a roughly 6-hour rehearsal interspersed with careful Pointe-Shoe tinkering.
Yep. It's like every minute is choreographed perfectly, each tiny task adding up to the final performance.
Exactly. And on performance days, there's a whole sequence: a surgical brush-up, intentional rest, fueling with the right foods, plus makeup and hair before that laser-focused ramp up to the curtain.
And when it's a two-show day, it really ramps up into a marathon of smart pacing, electrolytes, foot triage, and keeping your mind calm between shows.
Right. That's where the discussion about downtime becomes crucial. Do you choose active recovery, immerse yourself in personal hobbies, or go for deep rest?
Yeah. So, breaking that down, how do active recovery and deep rest really compare?
It's like, with active recovery, you're doing targeted mobility exercises, a short walk, light physical therapy moves, to keep the muscles warmed up and stave off that first step stiffness.
Right. Yeah, but then if you push active recovery too far, you're essentially piling work on top of an already demanding schedule, don't you think?
Exactly. That's the catch. On the other hand, deep rest, something like a 20-minute power nap in a dark, quiet space, can reset the nervous system and ease stress. But if you nap too long, you might end up groggy right before crucial calls to makeup or, performance cues.
I can imagine. It's a bit of a balancing act. Too little recovery might leave you stiff. Too much might leave you out of sync.
And then there's the option of personal hobbies. Something like knitting, sketching, or reading a chapter of a novel. These simple joys help preserve your identity beyond just a dancer and keep your psychological edge, which in turn sharpens musicality and spontaneity.
Yep. So, the suggestion is to rotate these downtime tactics throughout the day. That's a pretty dynamic system. How do they suggest we structure that?
They propose a rotation between morning class and rehearsal. Squeeze in 5 to 10 minutes of active recovery, mobility, and breath work to maintain that muscle warmth. Midday, take on a short burst of a hobby to give your brain a shift. Then, later in the afternoon, snag a deep rest window, making sure you're fully awake at least an hour before you hit your makeup call.
What if, though, your schedule is too compressed to get all three in? Do you just pick the one you missed?
Right, exactly. If you're wired and need rest, opt for deep rest. If you feel mentally flat, fitting in a hobby makes sense. And if your body feels creaky, active recovery is your friend. The idea is to tune into your personal signals and even keep a simple 2-line log to spot patterns over time.
I do wonder, though, doesn't that require a high level of self-awareness? I mean, not every dancer might accurately assess their own fatigue levels in the heat of the moment.
True, that's a valid point. Self-assessment can be tricky. But with practice, it becomes almost data-driven dance. You learn what works best through consistent tracking and adjustment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, on those intense two-show days, how do you pace your energy to keep that pop going into the second performance?
It all starts with fueling like you're planning a journey. A solid breakfast with complex carbs and protein sets the stage. Then, about 90 minutes before your matinee, you need a simple carb top-up. Think banana or, toast with honey.
Yep. And then after the matinee, you're in that narrow window to refuel and hydrate properly.
Exactly. Hydration with electrolytes is non-negotiable, coupled with a blend of protein and carbs for repair. Opt for low-fiber comfort food, like a light soup and rice, because anything too heavy or fibrous might work against you when you're locked into a corset for a show.
And caffeine timing also comes into play, right?
Totally. Small doses early in the day to sharpen focus, and possibly a second modest dose about an hour before the evening warm-up can work wonders. If your company permits it, of course. Plus, don't skip the salt if you're a heavy sweats bucket, because cramps can totally derail your petit allegro.
It's a holistic strategy, from the plate to the point shoes. Speaking of which, the care for those feet is almost its own world.
Absolutely. After matinee, it's all about proper foot care. Drying out shoes, retaping or swapping to a fresh pair if needed, reapplying powder to reduce friction, and even spending 10 minutes with your legs raised to relax the calves, all done without letting your back cool too much.
That emphasis on precision really resonates. Each detail, however small, feeds into overall performance.
Exactly, it's like every little move, every micro adjustment is part of the choreography. This leads us naturally to Pointe-Shoe maintenance. That's a whole system in itself.
Right. The ABC system is genius, where A is performance ready, B is on the brink, and C is your workhorse for rehearsals.
Yeah, and doing microbursts of shoe maintenance during natural breaks beats a long, exhausting session later. It's about scraping off excess glue, darning patches, and not waiting until midnight with a bottle of glue in hand. Plus, having a speed kit in your bag, a pre-threaded needle, tiny scissors, lighter, fray check, toe tape, alcohol wipes, and a spare elastic loop is a total game changer.
I love that practicality. It really lets you keep up with the invisible workload without it overtaking your recovery time.
Exactly. And if you notice your shoe maintenance eating more than 30 minutes of your break, that's a sign you need to tweak your routine or even try alternating brands to stretch their life a bit further.
Now, moving on to the brush-up rehearsal on performance day. How do you strike that balance between sharp recall and avoiding overexertion?
It's all about precision. The focus is on the transitions that tend to wobble under adrenaline, like promenade exits, fish dives, or risky lifts. Run those with intent, almost like a surgical pass rather than a full workout. You want to preserve energy and maintain clear recall, not drain yourself with repetitive passes.
Right. So it's less about overall fitness and more about hitting those key moments with clarity.
Exactly. And a little trick they suggest is to pre-write a 3-point brush-up note the night before. Something like Act I diagonal counts, Act 2 balance exit, finale spacing downstage left. So you can walk in and, immediately align your focus.
Yep, that's a slick hack. It really underlines that performance is as much mental orchestration as it is physical execution.
Spot on. And finally, there's the issue of managing micro-injuries. The guidance is to differentiate clearly between what's normal post-rehearsal soreness and what signs to take seriously.
Right. So if you experience symmetrical soreness that fades with movement or mild tendon whispers, that's green light. But pain that intensifies, noticeable swelling, or a hot spot that worsens indicates you need to step back and consult a professional.
Exactly. They recommend a sort of traffic light system. Green means keep moving, yellow is caution, and red, like stabbing pain, night pain, or sudden loss of power, is your signal to stop, report, and seek help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's clear that longevity comes down to consistency in these self-management routines. Every micro-choice adds up to preserving your performance for the long haul.
Precisely. It's a dial, not a switch. Rotate your recovery, hobby time, and deep rest based on what you're missing on any given day. In heavy rehearsal blocks, tilt the dial towards active recovery and deep rest. In show runs, lean into mental freshness. And on lighter weeks, invest in hobbies to refill your artistic well.
Yup, that really resonates. The idea of a personalized balance sheet for recovery and performance.
And think about a sample schedule. Company class at 10 a.m., finish by 11:30, then sip some water while doing a 10-minute mobility circuit. Follow that with rehearsal from noon to 3 p.m., break off 15 minutes for a hobby like journaling or add 5 minutes of targeted foot articulation, and then get back for more rehearsal.
And on performance day, from the makeup call to the final curtain, every minute is optimized. Power naps, hydration, small carb snacks, and that 3-point brush-up booking the final polish to your performance.
Exactly. And on a 2-show day, after matinee, those golden half-hour rituals become sacred. Drying shoes, a quick electrolyte sip, a bite for muscle repair, and a moment of quiet. Maybe 10 minutes of everything, helping to reset before the evening show.
Right. It's almost like the art looks effortless, but behind the scenes, there's a meticulous management system at play.
Absolutely. The takeaways are crystal clear. Rotate your downtime strategically, fuel and rehydrate punctually on 2-show days, transform Pointe-Shoe care into a repeatable system, ensure your brush-ups are surgical rather than exhaustive, and seriously, don't ignore those micro-injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Before we wrap up, for anyone tuning in right now, what's one immediate tip they can take on board?
Good call. If you're on your way to class, jot down that 3-point brush-up note tonight or pack your speed kit. Small intentional moves can lead to big dividends in endurance and performance.
Yep, that's golden advice. Amazing insights today. It's clear that longevity in dance isn't luck. It's consistency and smart, strategic care.
Absolutely. Here's to every dancer keeping their art vibrant, their body resilient, and their passion unyielding.
Thanks for joining in. May your choreography flow and every step be filled with purpose.
Until next time on Ballet Bites, keep your shoes in line, your recovery on point, and your artistry ever curious.